Hello there. Welcome to Just the Discs. We talk about Blu-rays here and 4Ks. My name's Brian, and today I'm talking about a couple 4Ks from Paramount, one of which I think might be shaping up to be one of my favorite releases of 2023 so far. So I'll start with that one. That is Dragonslayer from 1981, directed by Matthew Robbins, with some really remarkable special effects, I gotta say. It is, how does the back define it? With groundbreaking Oscar-nominated visual effects, Dragonslayer comes to 4K Ultra HD, restored for exceptional picture and sound, approved by Matthew Robbins. Set in the 6th century England, an ill-tempered, fire-breathing creature ominously known as Vermithrax pejorative terrorizes its citizens until a young sorcerer's apprentice named Galen is reluctantly tasked with confronting the beast. For Galen to succeed, it will take more than magic to defeat the dragon. So you can see of course, apprentice is played by Peter MacNicol, and Ralph Richardson plays his sorcerer mentor, basically. And it is a really neat movie, and one that I've been a fan of for a long time, but I was sort of invigorated with it upon this rewatch. There was some performances I forgot about, like Caitlin Clark, who plays Valerian, is really good. And there's some other folks in here that I recognize, British actors that stand out, but it really is a neat story because it's got ties to Fantasia, like the Sorcerer's Apprentice in that, and sort of the idea that he becomes a little too big for his britches at some point. But it's got a really interesting opening that I'd forgotten about, what happens to the main sorcerer himself, and how that is something that I didn't remember. Like, this sorcerer is called upon by this king and his kingdom to help with this dragon, and for reasons I won't go into, he isn't able to do that, and the sorcerer's apprentice is forced to deal with it. And it's just a really remarkable fantasy story, and it came at a time when Dungeons and Dragons was spiking in popularity. I think it's a co-production between Paramount and Disney. I think they were looking for like another Star Wars at the time, and so you have ILM effect stuff, and it's just one of those things where they didn't get that movie, and it's something else. But I think what it is a really fascinating and cool movie. And again, this transfer looks just stunning, really great stuff. And the extra features that are included really are the part of the disc that has got me pretty excited. So first, you have an hour-long documentary, about an hour and 3 minutes, that includes interviews with folks that worked on the movie. Phil Tippett was a dragon supervisor. Dennis Murin was a visual effects supervisor. Matthew Robbins, director and co-writer. He talks about the origins with producer Hal Barwood, and how Barwood was a fan of Tolkien and recommended Lord of the Rings to Robbins. And in addition, that's obviously another sort of influence on this. In addition to the connections to ILM, combined with Dungeons and Dragons craze going on at the time, so Disney and Paramount formed this co-production, but Disney was concerned about British accents, so they insisted that the cast include American actors, hence Peter MacNicol. Anyway, it's a really great documentary that goes in all kinds of detail about the production itself, and just a lot of stuff I didn't know about the movie. But the other great thing about this disc is it also includes a commentary with director, co-writer Matthew Robbins and Guillermo del Toro. And it's a great conversation, and so lovely to hear how reverent Guillermo is for this film and how much he counts it as a huge influence on what he does in his films, and cites Pan's Labyrinth specifically as one that was born out of the influence, at least some of the ideas and themes that he put out in this film. And he also says that this is the best designed dragon in the history of film. And it really is a well-designed dragon. Despite some production problems with it, it is shot in such a way as to it's similar to Jaws in some respects. It sometimes has to be shot with, fragments, editing in such a way as to be impressionistic more than staring directly at it. And I think that's always an effective technique when it's, forced to be employed. But yeah, it's just a really neat fantasy film. And there's screen tests also. The Slayer of All Dragons is the featurette, but that commentary really worth the price of admission alone. Of course, comes with a digital code as well, but no Blu-ray on this one, just the 4K and the digital code for Dragon Slayer. But like I said, really great looking transfer, and definitely one of my favorite releases I've seen so far this year in terms of the whole package, in terms of the presentation, the movie, the extras. It's got it all. So big thumbs up for me for Dragon Slayer from Paramount. And next we have Flashdance, Adrian Lyne's film from 1983. I was just thinking about this today. I find it fascinating that Paramount, for a period, was really all about dance movies. From the late 70s, you have Saturday Night Fever, then you have Grease, or was it in reverse order? I think it's, Saturday Night Fever, Grease, Urban Cowboy to a certain extent, although that's a little bit more about mechanical bull riding. But then there's this film and Footloose. It's just like this parade of dance movies that Paramount had a lot of success with. And this one was a real big hit, and the soundtrack was one of those that just really, caught on in a big way. It was a big breakout for Jennifer Beals. The hit movie that became a cultural sensation dazzles on 4K Ultra HD, approved by director Adrian Lyne, delivering an electrifying mix of music, drama, and dance. Jennifer Beals as Alex, a fiercely determined 18-year-old with one all-consuming dream to study at the Pittsburgh Conservatory of Dance, working during the day as a welder, and at night as an exotic dancer. She bravely pursues her dream and undertakes an unforgettable journey that reveals the power of her convictions. Featuring the Oscar-winning song Flashdance, What a Feeling, performed and co-written by Irene Cara, and the iconic global hit Maniac. So this also includes this is a 2-disc set, so you do get a Blu-ray and a digital code as well as the 4K UHD disc. You have on the Blu-ray filmmaker focus director Adrian Lyne on Flashdance, a new interview with the director talking about the film, the look of Flashdance featurette, as well as releasing the Flashdance phenomenon, another featurette. So very cool that Paramount is updating their classics. I know this is a big movie for a lot of folks that grew up as I did in the 1980s. And that song really gets caught in your head. In fact, it's in my head right now. I'm not going to sing it. I don't need a copyright strike or anything. But it's definitely a compelling performance by Jennifer Beals. And it's one of those movies that it's really a touchstone. It's really one of the 80s movies. When you talk about movies that define a decade, Flashdance is one of those movies, really. In terms of the phenomenon, and again, the soundtrack, which resonates to this day. And I do find it fascinating that it's Adrian Lyne, who would go on to do Fatal Attraction for Paramount, and then Jacob's Ladder, which I talked about in a previous video, veering much more into what I think would become more his area, which is sort of thrillers and horror to a degree, but definitely thriller stuff. So this is an interesting not starting point, but an interesting hit for him to have, considering the career that he would sort of go on to afterwards. But anyway, neat to see Paramount putting this out, and folks should definitely pick it up if they are fans. But Dragon Slayer really is the one for me. The highest recommendation I can give for this one. Definitely pick it up. Okay, anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.